My name is Dr. Horst Heitz. I'm one of the moderators who guide you through the night, and my colleague is...
So Glenn Hodgson, I'm the CEO of Fruit Europa, but also of Freelance Movement. Delighted to be here today to be co-moderating along with Horst this evening.
Yes, so perfect. I have to say, it is amazing how many SMEs we have tonight. I have to say, this evening is here also to celebrate you, to give you a voice, give you a visibility, to say SMEs are really the fundament, not only of the economy, they are also the fundament of our society, because they provide over 50% of the jobs, over 50% of the taxation. And I have to say, if you see them in the landscape, who is closer to the consumers, to the people? SMEs, not big companies. I have to say, SMEs are the heart and the tradition and the future of Europe.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Horst, well said. And this is also an evening for freelancers, SMEs, companies. It's all about you, so you're really the focus, and we're here for you, but also there's a lot of decision makers in this room. Elections coming up, tell them what they need to hear as well. What do you want? What are the barriers? What are the opportunities you need? Use the opportunity to be able to bend their ear and actually get on their agenda.
So, and now we're coming to the welcome and opening by our President, Dr. Paul Rübig. He is also known as Mr. SME, very famous. He founded countless SME associations.
Yes, thank you so much. You know, as a blacksmith, I know how to make the right framework, work hard and make good products. And SMEs, their core business is to deliver good solutions for the consumers. So we have 25 million SMEs in Europe, and I think for the political level it's quite important to please them, because as Horst said, they pay tax, they create jobs, and they make payments. I see MasterCard. We are very happy that our SMEs are a big backbone for payments. And of course, if you have security in the payment system, it's good for all of us. And therefore, I think the next election, which will take place next year, are quite important for all of us to see, do we go into the direction of poverty or growth? So we as a people who are for growth, we want to have better wages, we want to have better conditions and not too much bureaucracy. And the bureaucracy which was decided within the last months and years here in the parliament, it's really a tragedy because I think SMEs can't take it. It's too high from the cost, and we will lose international competition. So competitiveness is something which we want to have, and thank you for all. Congratulations. I think it will be a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We know your speeches are coming always from heart. And you mentioned MasterCard. Our partner tonight and supporter is MasterCard Strive, a philanthropic program to digitalization of SMEs. Thank you so much that you make it possible that we come all here together in Brussels, of the heart of Europe. Thank you. The next speaker will be Ivan Stefanec, member of the European Parliament and also board member of SME Connect. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Horst, and good evening, everybody. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have SME Day in the Parliament. I'm very happy that we can talk about SMEs since the morning until the evening. Just half an hour ago, we finished our fruitful discussion, what we shall do. All of us, we know the priorities. We talk about access to capital, about having better skills, also about cutting red tape. But it's a challenge now to go ahead. And I think there was also one idea which I will use, that this is not about one legislation or not only about legislative framework. This is about mindset. This is about our common mindset that we have to go through and to go and to fight for better skills, cutting red tape, better access. If we are having this mindset, I'm sure we will be successful. Let me congratulate to you, because today we are here for you, all SMEs. So today it is not only SME Day. Today it is day to celebrate excellence. And everybody who is here, you are here because of your passion, your innovation, and your hard work. Let me thank you for that, what you are doing for not only for development of your SMEs, but for development of all Europe. All of us, we shall more innovate than regulate. That's our motto, and let's do it together. Enjoy the evening. Thank you indeed.
Thank you so much. I think this is what makes it that members of parliament who are really working for SMEs and not only talking about SMEs, working, you are one of them who make it possible that we can be tonight here together. Ivan Stefanec is our host today. Thank you so much. And like always, if you're working with politics and politicians, we have to wait for Mr. Tobias Gottert, Secretary of State of the Bavarian State Ministry of Economy. He is in the town, but he will be at a little bit late. So we start with Mark Barnett, President of Mastercard Europe. And before he starts to speak, I invite, it's always two. I invite all the next panelists to go to the right, or from your side to the left, to get the techniques. Thank you. And the floor is yours.
Thanks very much. First of all, thank you to our host today, MEP Ivan, and to SME Connect. Mastercard, delighted to be here, delighted to be bringing our Strive event across Europe. I think these statistics have already been said, but 99% of all European businesses are SMEs. It's over half the workforce, it's over half the GDP, and it's over half the workforce, 80 million people employed in SMEs. So truly the beating heart of the European and global economy. We've been committed to SMEs for a long, long time. We have Start Path, our accelerator program, which literally thousands of businesses have been through. Global names like Revolut and N26, for example, went through that program. We actually have somebody here today who's been through that program from France, who you'll hear from a bit later, I hope. Strive, though, is a global initiative to help SMEs principally in three areas, and it's what our research constantly tells us. Access to working capital, the ability to navigate the digital transformation and some of the cyber challenges that come with the digital transformation, and finally the access to skills and knowledge and a network and mentorship to help bring the whole ecosystem together. So those are the three things Strive does. We've done it in Czechia. We've worked with 250,000 businesses now in Czechia. I was in Poland just last Thursday, and we went to an event. It's the end of a Strive event. We did a very small event, well, small by the standards of what we're going to be announcing today, where we supported female entrepreneurs who had been displaced from Ukraine. And the key thing there, we funded 80 businesses, but we provided a workspace that many thousands of businesses went through. But the key thing there for female entrepreneurs who've been displaced with their family is the need for childcare. So there was a workspace, but there was a bigger space. There was a creche and a play area for children so they could be looked after. And we had some panels like this, and it was truly inspiring to see these incredibly impressive ladies who'd built accountancy businesses, a fashion business, a hairdressing business, a kindergarten, but 80 of these businesses supported and doing fantastically well. So today we're announcing Strive EU, which is a little bit different. There's two principal components to it. So we have a fund, a pretty large fund, where we are going to be inviting businesses who are innovators that will help SMEs to apply for grants, and those grants can be up to $500,000 per business applying, and we hope to literally help dozens and dozens of businesses. But they're innovators. It's not the individual SMEs. They may be SMEs, but the purpose, we'll select them on the basis that they're helping innovation for the SME space. And the second thing we're going to do is set up the Strive EU Small Business Council. I'm very happy to chair that. We're hoping that some of the people in the room will join us, but really it's a public-private partnership to help drive the policy agenda, to help improve the overall ecosystem for the SME world. We're about payments, but we're about business, and small business is, as I said earlier, the beating heart of our economy. So I think all these things come together beautifully. Thanks again to our host. Thanks again to SME Connect. But most of all, thanks to the SME community here. I hope we have a splendid night. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much. I think this partnership between large companies and SMEs, we need you, because digitalization, we cannot manage it alone in this short time, the targets to reach. We have a lot of programs, but it's not enough. Thank you so much for this initiative. And I would like to use this chance that member of the European Parliament, Engineer Ruglo, Tobias Gotthardt from Bavaria State Secretary, and also Mr. Bellet, use the chance to come to their places, please. And all who are now arrived and who are coming later, please. And an applause. Thank you so much. And now we're coming to Tobias Gotthardt, like I say, Secretary of State at the Bavarian State Ministry of Economy. Did you know that Bavaria, if it would be independent, it would be the 5th largest economy in Europe? So from 28 member states, number 5. One region of 12 million people. So powerful regions are also part of Europe. And now the floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Horst, for giving me the floor. Dear friends, dear colleagues, I'm very glad to be here this evening at this event. And as he mentioned, Bavaria is indeed a strong region, which sometimes behaves like a state. Everyone who knows Bavaria knows how we behave. But we still know that we have to play our role, and the role is a decent role. That means that we want to act in Brussels to get the best for our region, but also for Europe, because the SMEs, for example, in Bavaria, 98% in Europe, but also minimum 98% of economy in Bavaria is SME, and we stand together for the best ecosystem for SMEs in Bavaria. And the title for this evening I read is Make It Easier. What I wanted to say is what is the most important thing for Europe at the moment, especially at the evening before the next European elections, is not only make it easier, make it possible. We have to make it possible, not to avoid, not to stop something. The thing now in the global markets is to make it possible for Europe, but also for our SMEs, because they are the ones who carry Europe economically, and that's what we stand for in Bavaria. That I had this day, I had now 11 meetings in Brussels where we discussed all the things which are important for us and for whole Europe. So let me say, I'm a person who likes short words and acting, so I stay at short words. I say, let's make it possible. Be a Europe together, a Europe that delivers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think, yeah, like you say, short speeches, but action is counting. But I know you always, your name standing for action. Otherwise, we know since years, and I have to say, it was a success story from Brussels to Munich. Now, we're coming to the Spark Talk, the reality of European small businesses, and I will give over to my colleague, Glenn Hodgson.
Thank you, Horst. Yes, the discussion we're going to have this Spark Talk is the reality of European small business. And delighted to be joined on the stage by some very talented, very impressive ladies to be able to talk about their experiences. First of all, we have Nina Bourharguet, who is the co-founder and CEO of Kako Liebe. We've also got Annemette Vos-Friedhoff, who is the founder and owner of All by Vos. We also have Elizabeth Todd, who's the CEO of Waste Rebel and founder of Green Heroes. And also we have the member of the European Parliament, Pernilla Weiss. Please, ladies, come up on stage.
Hi, I'm not sure. Nina, hi, nice to meet you. Do you need us? We were just getting mic'd up.
Annemette's coming. Yes.
They're getting the microphones. Sorry.
Okay, they're just doing the microphones.
The microphones were just being put on to us.
Yeah, please, after this
sit
panel,
here?
that the next panelists are going directly to the technique, please.
maybe we can already kick things. Nina, maybe you can already kick things off to
kick things
do a
off.
short discussion
Sure.
there. Yeah.
I was always mentioned about the time we have, so I wrote a speech from my heart, but please forgive me, I have to read it a little bit, so I stick with the time protocol here, because if I tell you about our story and our company, I could go on for like hours. Thank you for having me here. I'm very pleased to be here and have this chance to talk to you. Let me just start with my story. Several years ago, I traveled through Central America. I feel very drawn to nature's beauty there, to the biodiversity and the culture I found in this part of the world. And it was during that time that I met my husband, Ismael Bojorge, who is today here with me, the chocolate expert. Any questions about cacao and chocolate, just ask him. And he helped me grasp the local understanding of ecological and cultural cacao production. And we united our skills and visions, and together we built our company, which is called Cacao Liebe. It's a company, well, Cacao Liebe is cacao love. And it's really cacao love because it's a company that sources sustainable cacao and really emphasizes the origin of the cacao. And this is how we would like to make the difference in this world. If you know about the chocolate industry, we are here. Because our mission is to transmit the real value of cacao to the Western world. Maybe you know or you don't know, cacao is a medicinal plant and it has a very profound history. However, its properties are destroyed by industrial production. So what we receive here is not really the cacao, it's just candy. Its real power and right use is largely unknown to us. So like I said, we founded Cacao Liebe in 2020, right during the pandemic. And that was the time when Ismail came to Germany with basic German language skills. We have established 3 pillars in our company. The first one is ceremonial grade cacao, which is a niche product. If you want to learn more, you can go to our website. We offer authentic cacao and chocolate workshops in 3 languages, German, English, and Spanish. This is Ismail's expertise. And we also offer bean-to-bar chocolates with only cacao and sugar, 2 natural ingredients. Just the 2 of us established a production facility with special machinery, packaging, branding, and an online shop, and so much more. Looking back, it is a testament to the resilience born out of passion, because it has not been easy. It is inherent for us to follow our ecological guidelines, which are the core of our business mission. Nevertheless, it has never been easy. We have experienced significant successes and setbacks. These 3 years have been truly challenging. We have founded our company during the pandemic, and it was always very uncertain if we would make it or not. I could only do this because I work also a full-time job for a big airline, and this gave me a solid fallback. And now there's the energy crisis. Prices are rising, and this is our actually biggest concern and issue. But a few things keep us motivated. We have a very strong and reliable network of business partners. These are all small business owners, by the way. And most important, we have really happy customers who really appreciate what we do and believe in us, and they want us to keep going. What's driving us, though, is that we have a vision of how to grow, where to live in the future, and also what we contribute to for society. I believe that this is the foundation. As entrepreneurs, we need to share our experience generously. This is my message now. And build stronger networks. And also extend mutual support. It is the spirit of co-creation that will move us forward, overcoming the challenges that lie ahead. And as we also heard before, just think about it. SMEs are the heartbeat of our neighborhoods. the spine of our local economy, and the spirit of local society. Thank you very much.
Well done.
Many thanks indeed.
you.
Anameta, please
Yes. Sorry,
share your story.
I'm just going to do something because I'm a
Go
social
ahead.
media person, and I
Oh
will
my
tell
goodness.
you my story. I'm just going to give this to you, Lisa, because maybe you can record it. Okay, I feel a little bit weird sitting down. Is it going to be very strange if I stand up?
You can stand up, you can do what
Is
you
that
want within
okay?
reason, yeah.
Well, I'm used to being on a stage, just for you guys. Okay, my name is Annemette Voss Fridtjof, but that's really hard to say. And I am a designer, an artist, and the founder of All by Voss, which is a design business. I just want to start somewhere else. Isn't the universe amazing? Like, we can say something out into the universe, and it comes right back to us. We can ask for something. We can be like, I want more money. And the bank calls you up next day. No, they don't. But as entrepreneurs, we know that sometimes when we speak out loud, we get what we want. So we need to be really good at saying what we want. Sometimes the universe doesn't give us anything, just hard work. But I want to tell you my story because I really believe in connecting. I believe in saying what we want. I believe in our network, in creating great relations to other people. And that's why I'm here. And that's what I'm really good at. Because what it is, 10 years ago, I was an architect. I was building, or not building, I was drawing buildings for the city of Copenhagen. And then I entered a TV show, and I won a TV program called The Great Danish Bake Off. And they have it in many countries. And I actually won that, so I'm really good with chocolate. And I just want to say, even though this is not about me, well done, because I know a lot about the cocoa industry, and anyone who takes that on is a hero in my world, because that is a crazy industry. So very well done.
Thank you.
Everyone should follow you, because I'm rooting for you. But I won this TV show, and that completely changed my career. I was in a divorce, so I decided I'm not going to be an architect. I'm just going to bake some cakes and try and make some money fast, and we'll see what happens. And then 7 years later, COVID came. And in those 7 years, I had written cookbooks, I'd been a TV presenter, I had been a blogger, I had a YouTube channel, I had been very visible in the media in Denmark. And I was feeling really bad. I didn't like what I was doing because I had educated myself to be creative with my hands, with pen and paper. But I was baking cakes, and all respect to people who want to be cake bakers, it wasn't enough for me. I wanted to do something else. So I started painting. And because I had all these people looking at me, because I have a pretty big amount of followers on social media, I asked them, what do you think I should do? Should I do something with this? I showed them my paintings. I showed them what I did. And there was a big, clear, yes, go do something. You should go down that path. So I did. And within the last 3 years, because my husband lost his job because he was in a business that couldn't survive Corona, I employed him, and him and I, we have built up our design business within the last 3 years. So today we have about 50 retailers in Denmark, and they are selling all different kinds of products because I make everything from silk scarves that I design myself, and I make cards, I make little clutches, I do swimwear, all different kinds of things where you can put beautiful patterns onto them, mostly for women. I guess my audience is basically mostly women. But during this process, I realized the one thing that really is important to me is my ability to communicate about entrepreneurship. Because I come from a family where my dad and my mom ran their own business, and I know how amazing it is that my father, he took a chance like 45 years ago, and all the people that he employed in those 45 years that he have been able to give their families holidays and clothes and everything is all because he took one chance. And I wanted to be that person. But I also wanted to communicate that to all the people watching, because it's not everyone that has that platform. So I think what I should definitely get a prize for one day is my ability to communicate about being an entrepreneur, because that is not everyone who has that chance. And that's what I do. So I do that alongside building my business. I talk on social media about the challenges, because there are many challenges. We all know, everyone who's an entrepreneur knows. about the stomach aches that we live with every day, about the total, like the constant decision making between family life and business life. I talk about finances. I put numbers to it. I say to them, I made 40,000 kroner this weekend, and it cost me 16,000 making it, because a lot of people don't do that. And we need someone to put numbers to it, because otherwise no one else is going to dare to do it. How are they going to know what it takes if no one's willing to tell them? If all we see are female entrepreneurs who made it, we always look at the ones who made it, who have like huge billion-dollar businesses. But that's really cool. But there are so many of us, so many, who are running small businesses, who are happy with being a small business, and who are creating jobs for just like 1, 2, 3, 15 people. And they do that for their whole lives, and that's pretty amazing. So we should empathize that and really urge people to do that. So, alongside politicians, I'm hoping to inspire people, women, to be entrepreneurs. I think that you guys, you can set the boundaries and you can create the opportunities for us to thrive, and then we can inspire. So all of you who are entrepreneurs, you carry a huge weight on your shoulders. It's really important that you realize your responsibility to tell about what you do. So today when you go home, I don't care if you never use Facebook. Today you're going to post something on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, wherever you are, I don't care, LinkedIn at least. You should tell people that you are here. You should tell them what you do. You should tell them what you heard. Because if it all stays within the parliament, no one knows. How is anyone going to know what we are doing here if we don't tell them? That is you guys, that's your biggest problem. Is that all that you do because you're great politicians, but it stays here. No one knows exactly what you're doing if they're not part of this like league of very wise people who go onto your websites. A lot of people just get up in the morning and go to work. Right now in my business, I am at a point where we want to expand. We want to try and get into new international markets. And I have no idea. I know a lot of things about architecture and designing. I know nothing about finding agents and investors. I don't even know about like debit and credit. I mean, that's not what I do, right? But I'm running a business. So I have a problem. So I need for you guys, you politicians, to be matchmakers. You have to create a dating profile for businesses and agents and investors. Because I have no idea how I'm going to find that investor who wants to invest in a small business run by me. I don't know. I don't know what they are, but I'm sure they're out there. And if we could log onto a dating site where we could have like a Tinder profile, yeah, you look good, you don't, that would be really nice. Where you could just like tick off, I am this kind of person, I work in this business, I need this much money, and I'm pretty serious. And then you could find someone else who was ready for a serious relationship. And then you could match. That's what I'm looking for. And I think a lot of small businesses are looking for exactly this help. Because we can work out so many things. We just need to find the right people.
Yes.
We can talk. We just need to find the right people, right? I will end my little talk with the best thing I ever heard an entrepreneur say. And I love it because there's a guy in Denmark. He is famous in Denmark, like hugely. He's actually famous in the world if you know anything about licorice. But in Denmark, there's this guy called Johan Bülow. He created licorice by Bülow, which is a little chocolate-coated licorice. And he sold his company a few years ago, millions. He earned millions. And the funny thing was, he's like this guy from Bornholm, this little island in Denmark. And I know him personally because he's in the chocolate industry. And I was baking cakes for 10 years. So we know each other. And he started just boiling licorice in his mother's kitchen, selling it out the window when there was a lot of tourists in this island. And they came by and they tasted the licorice. And then when he sold his company, a journalist sat him down and said to him, you know, very smart journalist, said to him, oh, so Johan, you didn't see this coming, huh? And you know what he said? He said, you're getting it all wrong. I was the only one who saw it coming. And that is what we need to remember. When we start doubting ourselves, we are the only ones who see it coming. And we need to keep believing that. So remember that. Also, when you politicians get really great ideas, maybe you are the only ones who see it coming. But you have to fight for it and keep standing up for it. Because one day it'll be worth millions. So thank you for listening. I'm very happy to connect and talk to you all and link on Instagram or whatever. So you just take a hold of me later. But now I'll just pass on the word to you, Elizabeth Todd.
Thank you so much for this inspiring speech. So I'm gonna start talking a bit about me, so how I started my business. So my journey started in 2017 when, is it just me or the sound is weird? Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
So when I was at a peace summit in Malaysia, where I found out about World Cleanup Day. World Cleanup Day is one day a year where people gather together to clean up the planet. So I found this idea so amazing that I thought like, okay, I'm gonna go back to Austria and do this as well and be part of this World Cleanup Day movement. So that's when in 2018 I started my nonprofit in Austria. And we were, at the beginning especially, we weren't just doing only cleanups, but we were going to schools, we were working with teenagers between 14 and 19, because at that age normally people, they get some money, they have some pocket money, so they are also consumers. They tend also to, unfortunately, get drunk at nights and then leave their waste behind. So that's why we're tackling this kind of people. And then the pandemic hit. And that's when we started to do things differently, because we started to work also with businesses. So what I started to do at that time was consulting businesses on how to become more sustainable and help them also with their strategy. It was really great to see that businesses were also eager to learn, and we're starting to change many things. However, I also noticed that unfortunately in this field there are many, many things that people would like to do, but it's not affordable, especially if I am a business owner and my competitor is not doing the same things, and it costs me more and my products costs more, so people won't buy them. So this is a huge issue that we have. So we have the big issue that here already in the European Union, we don't have like the same regulations, but also globally they're different. So this is one thing that I feel is very, very important to change. One other thing as well is that nowadays everyone loves sustainability and everyone wants to be sustainable. However, it is very, very hard to get to capital if you're not in green tech, if you're not doing green mobility, or if you're not saving energy in a certain way. Like if you're doing something that is very old school, let's say, for example, you're taking ghost nets, you know, these fisher nets that we have in the ocean, you take them out and you make sports gear out of it. This is nothing that is very innovative. Or if you're taking old bread, for example, we have a very known brand in Austria that is doing that. They're taking bread, old bread, and they're producing cereals out of it. So it's something very old-fashioned, because maybe your grandparents did that as well, just put some old bread and put some milk on it and then you eat it. And it's not fancy, and it's not like in Silicon Valley. And that's why for this kind of businesses, it's so hard to even get capital, because everything is into like the really fancy things that we see. We're talking about green tech, for example. And I feel like this is a pity, because the world is not always, we don't have to always redo the wheel, you know, reinvent the wheel. There are so many old-fashioned solutions already there that we could use. And I feel like here we really also have to see that we have many bright minds in Europe, and that we have to support them. Especially many, many young people have so brilliant ideas, but there is no support system there. One other thing is also that was mentioned before is that we have, we're all small businesses. And in a certain way, we kind of want to grow still. So it's not like because you're a one-person business that you're like, okay, I'm fine with that. No, so many times you think, okay, I would like to do some more things. I would like to also concentrate myself, my abilities into one other field and not doing everything. So what do you need for that? So we need staff. However, it's so expensive to employ someone in Europe. And it's not only like, I'm not talking only about Austria, we have the same issues in France, in Luxembourg, in Germany. It's so expensive. And this is also one thing that we should look into it. So maybe to say, okay, your first 3 employees, for the first 3 years, we're gonna, I don't know, give you some support for that. Otherwise, we can't grow. Otherwise, we will always stay like this one-person businesses. And this is, then you have like the big businesses, they have like over 500 employees, and then you have like this little people that are like having their one woman show or one man show. And I feel like this is also something that we should tackle here in Europe to also stay competitive. Just if you look into the US, for example, it's so much easier to have staff. And it's so much easier to grow. And I feel like it's a pity because we have so much potential here in Europe, but we can't use it because there is just no support system for that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. So much passion, energy, and great ideas from the ladies. So, Pernilla, what are you going to do about it in response to this piece?
We have to use all that energy, don't we? Really? And what is kind of the core message from all 3 of you is echoing what I learned 15 years ago or so. I have a couple of educations. I don't know if that was what took me to Europe and the European Parliament. But I learned at least one thing that I will pass on to you and pass on to the rest of us this evening. And that is a very bright mind who said that every person, every business, every relationship, every thinking human being must once a week ask the question to themselves, if I stop doing what I do right now, what will the world then miss? All the 3 of you every day answer that question, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be able to have all the energy that you need to get through the weeks and months and years, whereas some of us who are politicians in the European Parliament, and maybe it's good that not everybody knows what we are doing, because we do a lot of regulation, and some of that we shouldn't do at all. So maybe Jörn, Julio, Ivan, all my colleagues from the European Parliament, we should take that question up actively that you answer every day, namely, if I stop doing the legislative work I do right now, what will the world then miss? Maybe not that much. And by that, we would actually have been giving something very valuable back to you, girls, and all the other guys in the audience who is also a big representatives of the SMEs and the backbone of the European economy. So that is what I take down or take with me into my work, and that I hope and I also can pass on to my colleagues and all of our guests this evening here in the European Parliament. Thank you so much.
Excellent panel with so much food for thought and just doing fantastic things yourselves, but also inspiring other people to actually sort of think about it and do things as well, which I think is equally important. Thank you for sharing your stories and sharing your time. Thank you.
So now we have to check. David Müller, we have now the keynote address from the European Commission. Is David Müller already arrived? Yeah, perfect. I missed you. So, thank you so much that you took your time for us. You are the head of cabinet of the European Commission of Commissioner Johannes Hahn, and you're presenting budget in the Commission. And I think everybody who is working or is a politician knows it's the president and the treasurer who has the power. So, please, the floor is yours. What means budget for SMEs in the future?
Well, thank you very much. So this is a sort of new challenge, 5 minutes for explaining complex budget rules for SMEs. No, I just want to thank you first also for being here. And actually that also in the Commission we basically put great importance to SMEs, and I think this is seen mainstreamed in all our policies. But obviously as the budget is the policy cast in numbers and figures, obviously I think this is important also to show and bring to the forefront what we do in the budget for SMEs. And you all know, and from various experiences I assume, that we have a lot to offer, a lot of different instruments, sometimes very complex but I think here is obviously how we in the field of budget we can empower SMEs and SMEs to flourish. But I would also to touch on one aspect which basically contributes to a better business environment, because my commission is not only in charge for budget but also for digital and public administrations, and here I think I want to come back as well. So with a budget, I didn't come with the money myself, but I can tell you that we have until the end of this period we have a global of 200 billions directly and indirectly available for SME support. So I think this is an important and very considerable number. And in this regard, this mainly through cohesion policy, but also to the newly and innovative recovery and resilience facility, I think, made available. Obviously, we have next to it the COSME program and different programs. But I wanted to draw your attention to one particular step that we made, and this is the step actually, which means strategic technologies platform, European platform, and this is a sort of completely new approach how to basically also to make our budget availability and funding opportunities more user-friendly for SMEs. And I think this basically is very new, especially in the field of deep tech, clean tech and biotech. So this is the start. And here we have established with our new quality label sovereignty seal an opportunity, a so-called one-stop shop, where you as a SME can apply for funding, and if you receive the sovereignty seal, you will be eligible also for funding from other instruments, so across the board of all the EU instruments. So this, I think, is a first important step also to make it more user-friendly and more accessible, and also shows that we are aware of the different fragmentation which might put a burden to administration and thus obviously also for SMEs, and therefore I think this is a big novelty that you should explore, and I invite you also to explore whether this works actually. Second thing, how do we create or contribute to a better business environment also from our portfolio side? I think here I just want to draw your attention to the newly adopted, and also thanks to the Parliament's contribution, and adopted new interoperability regulation, which makes the public digital services better and more interoperable throughout Europe, and this will lead to savings in administration and administrative burden, and also for SMEs in a number of billions over the years. So this is, I think, a very important step to make public services more interoperable throughout Europe, and that you don't have to register your company in each, but you have the once only principle, once registered in one country, and then use your data also in other countries, obviously always in line with the data protection rules. So I think this is the objective of this particular regulation, and I think this is very worth drawing the attention to. And I just want to also that we can also be very concrete. We are also in charge for translation, obviously, and we have one particular tool that is valuable for public administration, but also for SMEs, which is e-translation. And this is based on our artificial intelligence digital service within the Commission, where we can translate text in all 24 official languages. And I can only invite you also to make use of it as an SME, because languages and cross-border cooperation, I think is still a sort of challenge for some. because of probably lack of skills and people simply to do that. And therefore, I think this should also help to facilitate business directly. So conclusion, SMEs are close to our heart. We will also soon appoint an SME envoy who will obviously take care that your interests and SME interests and startup interests are taken good care of. And I just want to say that if there is any doubt on the money, I think Europe is providing a lot, but obviously it takes always more to tango too, but in terms of multi-level governments, obviously more, also regional and member states administration. So I think I just want to stop here and say, obviously, that we attach great importance to this particular SMEs and companies, startups. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. Now, to follow that, we're going to have a presentation on democracy and SMEs. And to give this, we've got a member of the Cabinet of European Commissioner Dubravka Šuica, Mr. Ivo Belet. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Glenn. And as said, I think I have also 5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, so I'll try to respect it. And thank you very much, President. Thank you, State Secretary. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, members of the European Parliament too, ladies and gentlemen. And it's a real pleasure to be invited here and to see so many familiar faces in the European Parliament. So on behalf of Vice President Šuica, who is indeed responsible for democracy and demography, I'm first of all going to say that I'm not going to repeat what David already said very eloquently. So thanks very much, David. I had prepared some interventions on all the initiatives that the European Commission has been preparing, has been launching, and are in the pipeline with regard to SMEs, with regard to a favorable business environment. But David has done the job, so I'm not going to repeat that. So I'm going to put aside what I prepared on that one and be very concrete. First of all, let me thank you all, first of all, for the very interesting debate in the exchange that we just had, Paul. Good evening. Yeah, this was very interesting. This was full of passion, creativity, and I think sources of optimism for our European economy. So having said that, let me say a few words. I have 3.5 minutes left. Let me say a few words on the labor market and on the problems that SMEs, economy in general, are faced with today with labor market shortages on the labor market. And it's not a coincidence, and David already referred to it. It's not a coincidence that 2023 is the year of skills. Yeah, and this, of course, is extremely important for SMEs, confronted with all these challenges of AI, of digitalization, etc., of languages in a multinational environment, and you need to find the skills. Yeah, I had prepared like a quote from our President von der Leyen, who said that a lot of companies are looking for people now. Not people looking for companies, but vice versa. Companies looking for people, of course, and shortages on the labor market. And that's exactly why our Vice President, Dubravka Šuica, took the initiatives, and we've been working, you know it, Paul, for a long time on it. And the European Commission launched it like 2 weeks ago, the demography toolbox, what we call demography toolbox. It's about demography. It's about looking for skills. It's about shortages on the labor market. And this is not just about young Europeans. Of course, it's about young Europeans, but it's all about older Europeans, and it's about lifelong learning. It's something that we are telling for like decades, but we have to make it concrete now, and we need all available European citizens on the labor market. Of course, also women, because what is one of the pillars of this demography toolbox is to find or to help support parents, families, young parents, of course, mothers and fathers to to have this good balance, the balance between work and life, which is one of the big challenges today. And of course, we need also, it's a difficult issue, we need that's one of the pillars of the toolbox too, we need also legal, well-managed, qualified migration. We all know we will need it, but in a well-organized, well-managed matter. So that is one of the main issues that we are working on, apart from the European Union of Skills, demography toolbox. And apart from that, as David already said, there will be, we are expecting this SME envoy. I think it's a really important step, that envoy, whether a lady or a man, will be reporting directly to the President of the European Commission and will be appointed within a few weeks before the end of the year, if I'm well informed. So this is extremely important, one of the important steps coming up in the last year of our mandate. And then added to that, of course, the SME relief package. I'm not going to go into details because I don't have the time anymore, but it's about lessening the burdens for SMEs and making the economic environment, making the inspiring environment for SMEs all over Europe more comfortable, if I may say so. So having said this, I'm going to conclude, Glenn. I'm going to respect the time that you gave me. Thanks very much for your attention. Thanks for listening. And of course, we're available for all suggestions that you have towards the European Commission, for David or for myself, for the Vice President for Demography and Democracy. So don't hesitate to reach out to us if need is there. So thanks very much, and hope to see you again very soon. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent, and that was a real open suggestion there. And thankfully, we've got the next flash panel, which is looking at what's holding European small businesses back. So you'll get an instant response to your question there, Ivo. So to join me on stage to discuss this in more detail, we have Member of the European Parliament, Angelika Winzig. Please welcome you to the stage. We also have Member of the European Parliament, Julio Winkler. Please. And they will also be joined by entrepreneur, global business consultant and coach, Anna Klisouras. As well as the co-founder and CEO of Alguan, Michael Diguet. Please, on this side. And to moderate this fantastic panel, we have SME Connect Special Advisor for Digitalization and AI Issues, also former member of the European Parliament and also the first Minister of Digitalization in Poland, Dr. Michał Boni. Welcome.
Hello. This is a special time, some weeks before Christmas and some months before European elections, so I think that today we can dream about future small, medium enterprises and conditions for the development of small, medium enterprises in European Union, in Europe, and all over the world. Because it's crucial, it's very important. We have discussed from morning about some obstacles, some barriers, some limits, and just during this discussion, we want to prepare some kind of list of negative aspects of functioning of SMEs, but also list to do, what will be for the future. I would like to start with Anna, please. What is, in your opinion, main challenge for SMEs and SMEs development in the future?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to Horst for the invitation. I could add my personal experiences working with SME. I work with SME in my current role as a consultant, and I've also worked for Amazon as the SME ambassador for Amazon for a long time. But I want to talk about data instead. I'm a very data-driven person, so I think that we have heard a lot of illustrations and anecdotes, but we have data on this. We know what is holding SME back. We have the Eurobarometer by the European Commission that is renewed yearly. We have Eurochamber surveys. We have a lot of data, and they give us fairly similar results year over year. They tell us about the need for better regulation. They tell us about the lack for skills right now, or the lack of, to be precise, not the lack of skills, but the lack of access to skilled labor. They tell us about access to finance and so forth. And so we have a lot of data that we can work with. But what I want to say is that why is this data not enough? Why are we still at a place where we're like, what's wrong, you know? And one way to look at this, I think, is to say that maybe we have to work on our database. Because one issue with that data I see is that it depends on the questions you're asking. So of course, especially if you're politically driven and you focus very much on the green transition and digitalization, those are the kind of questions you're going to ask. So you get answers for the question that you're answering, that you're posing. The second one is often not granular enough. Again, I haven't seen like all the surveys out there, but often when you get an answer such as we need better regulation or there's too much administrative burden, what does that mean? How do you work with that as a policymaker? How do you action that into a piece of legislation? So one of the challenges that I want to add to that list, which is already well documented, is that maybe we need better access to actionable insights for SMEs.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it was very, very inspiring and very modern. And please, great. Julio, what is your experience from the perspective of European Parliament? How can you define the main obstacles, barriers and limits?
I think that we in the Parliament are speaking a lot about the fact that SMEs have to have a voice. And that is very important because indeed when we are debating pieces of legislation, we are listening to the voice of stakeholders. And it depends sometimes also on the balance of the stakeholders, the balance of the voices that we are hearing. Because of course we are not having as a European Parliament the legislative initiative. That belongs to the Commission. So the Commission also is hearing voices. And the Commission also has to make a balance. Sometimes the Commission makes ideologically motivated proposals. That's very clear because especially when you see what is happening around the Green Deal, the green transformation, the energy revolution that we are undergoing, the electrification, it's very clear that there are proposals coming from the Commission which are not based, and we have discussed this earlier in an earlier panel just an hour ago, the fact that the proposals are coming without sufficient substantiation, without really serious feasibility studies, without impact studies, without measuring the impact on the SMEs, or measuring the indirect impact on SMEs. Because, you know, sometimes we succeed in the Parliament, for example, to have legislation which is oriented towards a certain dimension of companies, bigger companies. But then it's the case of the due diligence. We carve out SMEs from the due diligence obligations, but then what you see is that companies which are big enough to be subjected to due diligence obligations will turn towards their suppliers. Many of them are SMEs and will ask what we are asking as legislators only from the big companies. So this should be observed by impact studies. And then, of course, so we are listening to the voices of the stakeholders. And which voice is louder? Basically, next year in the European election, probably the voices will also have an impact on the outcome of the elections. So, and all those voices are legitimate, because voices who are speaking for green economy are perfectly legitimate. Voices who are speaking for nature restoration, for going back 50 years with the rivers in Europe and letting go to all the efforts that have been done in 50 years. Those are also legitimate voices. So how can you make the decision? How should the European Commission decide? Based on impact studies, but also based on the voice of the stakeholders. And how should we decide? Based on the voice of our voters. So if the voice of industry, and this would be my first message, and I repeated this message many occasions when I spoke in the European Parliament, in the Trade Committee, with stakeholders, representatives of industries and so on. And I said, look, you have to talk to the people. You have to explain people from where the jobs are coming, from where the opportunities are coming for the young people, for where the wealth is coming. Because, of course, everybody likes to, you know, to divide the cake, to to cut pieces from the cake, but somebody has to bake the cake. And also, it would be very good that the cake should be bigger. So let's organize a sort of movement, please. Then the voices of the SMEs are louder, are more organized. Let's organize the voice of industry in Europe, because it's almost shameful to discuss about industry sometimes in Europe today, or even in the European Parliament. Yes, of course, I know we are a bubble. The European Parliament is a bubble, and it's a smaller bubble inside a bigger bubble, which is the EU institutions bubble. But we are sent here by people, by you, ladies and gentlemen. We are sent here in this institution to listen to the voices of the stakeholders. So we have this duty to listen to the voice. So please make your voice louder and more convincing to the people, to the voters in Europe.
An applause. Thank you very much. It is very important to to build some kind of equilibrium of voices, real equilibrium of voices, because it's very needed for the future development. Now I want to ask Michel, what, from your perspective, is the main challenge for SMEs and what we can do, please.
Thank you very much. Hello to everyone. So yeah, I would say that the main challenge we have, because I am SME CEO, the main challenge we have, and it has been referred several times, is financing, access to capital. So we need capital for our daily life, for cash flows. We also need capital for investments. And I think this is clearly the main challenge we have. And authorities, European authorities, can play a role, and they already play a role to help that through, pushing innovation and technology that allow players like my company, Elgon, because my company, Elgon, helps consumers and companies to access to capital. The European authorities can help push this technology, allow us to provide capital to other companies. So, for example, we rely on one European directive called PSD2, which is very important because it's a technology that allows us to access the bank accounts of a consumer or of a company to evaluate its solvability and to provide access to capital in an instant, instantly and very efficiently. So, and about what have been said before, that's true that I think we as SME owner has to speak louder to authorities. But I just want to mention that it's not easy because we have, less time and less money than big players who can, work with lobbyists and speak louder than us. So we have to find solutions about that also.
Thank you very much. We want to speak louder, but on the other hand, we need to remember that institutions should listen to those voices, yes, because this is the real problem with dialogue. We want to have dialogue about those issues. Angelica, what is your experience from that term and activity? What are the main barriers and burdens for SMEs?
Yes, as an entrepreneur myself, I often have the problem, I know your problems, but it's frustrating because you can't solve it. There are so many bureaucratic burdens, we mentioned it already, and we only have a handful maps which are engaged in economics. And I think since today you know all of them, because all of them were here. I think they are around 10 people. I'm working in the SME intergroup. It's all parties are there, and we are 10 people. So we are such a small group. We have 705 maps in the parliament, and around 10 people have an entrepreneurial background. That's the first problem we have. Then the additional burden. I tried to find out why do we have it. And my understanding is that many people don't have businesses or don't know how to deal with entrepreneurs. And if we make more regulations, they have less risks. And I think this is the problem. In each legislative act, we have additional burdens, we have additional reporting obligations, and I think that's a question of safety, of risky, and I think we should take the fear of people that they understand our businesses, and that's, I think, very important. And the voice, yes, we have a loud voice. We do have a loud voice in the parliament, but it's necessary. And I'm very happy that we get the SME envoy from Ursula von der Leyen promised it situated next to the presidency. I think we will get a very loud voice, and we will support it.
Thank you very much. Applause for you and for all of those members of the European Parliament who are active at that era, because I remember when I have been a member of the European Parliament, it was a very similar situation, yes? Some of us meeting from time to time, discussing and proposing something. It's needed, yes, to have a bigger group in the European Parliament with understanding, better, deeper understanding of functioning of the business, especially small, medium enterprises. But okay, there is a list of barriers, limits, problems which should be solved. And now, list to do. What we can do, not only now, but during the public debate before European election especially, to create some kind of special program for SMEs during this election, but after election for the new Commission. What would you suggest should be on this list? What we need to do and what is the most important from your perspective? In legislative framework, in political decisions, in economic and financial support, as you have mentioned, yes, because it also should be clear that SMEs needs much more accessible support and investment. Who wants to start? Angelika?
Okay. Please. Yes, first of all, I think we should be braver and say no to some regulations, and I think that's necessary. We should not always fear the media fallout. We are the EPP, we are the party of the entrepreneurs, and yes, we should show it.
Yeah, you have expressed and you have raised the question. We need to stop some regulations. It means that we should know what kind of regulations are needed and what are not needed for the future development. It's very, very important. Thank you. You?
Yeah,
Anna?
actually this links up with what you just say. I brought an entire list with me, which is why I have this paper with me. I couldn't internalize everything. So the first one is more of an approach. One thing I've noticed when I dealt with policymakers and organizations such as the OECD that also deals with SME empowerment is that there is a tendency, and I'm going to put this a little bit vague, there is a tendency to handle SMEs as though they were a separate entity from the rest of the industry, which even from a majority perspective doesn't make sense, because more than 90% of them, we've heard this a lot, of all companies are SMEs. So I think one approach would be streamlining this better with verticals in terms of industries, might make it easier to make the recommendations and policies more actionable. Now, this is not my area of expertise. Maybe this is already done. It's just that my observation when talking about SMEs is always like this separate, special kind of company. Although when we look at the data, the kind of obstacles that companies face are quite similar. The only difference is that SMEs have, of course, is size related. But like the rest, better regulation, single market access, it's all the same throughout the industry. So I think it might sense to streamline a little bit. That's my first point. My second point is related to what I said earlier on data. I think that public sector in general, very vague again, could learn a lot from the private sector in terms of data-driven regulation. For example, at Amazon, but any other company really that does its job well, they work backwards from the customer. They look at what are the needs, what are the requirements, they translate this into data, they experiment with sandboxes, they test and learn, and that's how they're agile, you know. In public sector, often my impression is that it's more forward thinking, you know. People have an idea, for example, the twin transition, you know, the digitalization and green. So they ask SMEs for feedback, and often it's designed in such a way that it kind of validates your assumption. It's not really working backwards from SMEs. So there are many such techniques, which I think, and this is not just related to SME, generally public sector policymaking, I would say, where approaches could be taken over from the private sector that work very well, like how are consumers served in the private sector could actually make it measurable. I spoke about granularity before. That's just one of the many measures. You know, I think there is a gap between the very broad-brushed questions such as better regulation and then individual anecdotes of a wine farmer in France. You know, it's like I think we need something in between to translate this into a piece of legislation. A third point is the single market. It's a very old, lame point, but I think that it's still something that needs to be unlocked, especially in the area of trade. For example, I think that the share of SMEs, if I'm not mistaken, in Europe that export in the single market is 8%.
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to draw from my experience at Amazon, and I'm not marketing for Amazon. I'm not affiliated with them anymore, just because I have this metric top of mind. At Amazon on the marketplace, more than 80% of SMEs export in the single market. And I'm not saying this because I think Amazon is such a great company, but because it shows the potential. What happens if you have an environment with very few obstacles? This shows the potential of SMEs that would be willing to export. And so what's up with these 72%, you know? And then the last point I wanted to make is the point that has been said again and again and again, just to make SME policy a hard policy, move away from the soft policy. There is hope with the new SME envoy, maybe things will change, but as you know very well, translating the talk into the walk has been an issue, which is also, you know, showing in lack of impact assessment and applying the think small principle in practice, where I don't see the rigor beyond good intentions.
Thank you very much. It leads me to the question and also to the idea that from time to time we don't need the strong regulation. We need some rules, and those rules could function as the market, as an agreement between companies, as an agreement between consumers and companies. I think it's soft law, and it's better for the functioning. It's much more dynamic and allow companies to adjust to the changing situations and economic challenges. Yes, Michel, what's your suggestions and recommendations?
Yes, so first thing, I think, SMEs are the backbone of the economy, but we will always speak, the big groups will always speak higher than us. So I think we have regulators or authorities have to adapt to that. So I think every legislative initiative has to be evaluated in terms of the impact on the SMEs. We can also imagine, providing simplified rules for smaller players, like other regulators outside Europe did, for example, in fintech world, in the finance world, they did in the UK, for example, the sandbox, which is really lighter. Yeah, so it's something that can be very, very useful for us. And again, I think it's very important that the authorities continue to push stronger innovation and technology because this can be used a lot to help SMEs. So that would be my advice for the...
It is important, I think, that we need to consider how disseminate the knowledge and how to promote regulatory sandboxes, because this is the exception. And on the other hand, this is the experiment and the space for experiment and innovation, yes? And I think in Artificial Intelligence Act, there is a idea, concept, and we need to develop it and use in all areas, not only in solutions related to artificial intelligence. Julio, what is your dream and what is your list to do?
Please don't start me sharing my dreams, because that would be a long list. And I only speak about dreams linked to SMEs and dreams linked to trade, but nothing else.
Good.
But I think that one important thing that we need is, as a parliament, as members of the parliament, to look to enforcement and implementation. And the Lisbon Treaty since 2009 gave us some competencies in enforcement, supervision, and in implementation follow-up. So I give you an example. We are very proud, at least with DigiTrade and the trade people in the parliament, that we have been asked for market access information, and then the Commission created the Access to Markets portal. Even it speaks in several languages, because we asked that it should be multilingual. 1 hour ago, at the discussion, our representative in the Committee of Regions, so coming from the regions, tells us, nobody, no SME is aware of the FTA impact in their activity. So that means that we are proud of the Access to Market portal, but nobody knows about this portal. Then I give you another example. We have been I think I personally signed 50 or 70 amendments in my activity about the one-stop shop. And we have several legal provisions about the one-stop shop. And our representative in the Economic and Social Committee in the discussion just 1 hour ago says one-stop shop are not working in the member states. So we are in our bubble, we are very proud about the one-stop shop, about the access to market portal, but the real life experience tells us that those are not disseminated enough. You asked about dissemination, information dissemination. And yes, we are now dreaming, dreams, okay. We are dreaming about the SME envoy. But the question will be, dear ex-colleague, because you know very well that we have been working together with Ivo, with Michal, in issues like this. My question would be the following. Will the SME envoy have a team? Will he have implementation powers? Will he be a sort of CTEO, you know, the Chief Trade Enforcement Officer, which was created also by this commission 4 years ago? So if the SME envoy, you name it, Chief SME Support Officer, you name it envoy, you name it whatever way, but if he will be you know, a guy to talk to from time to time and a guy to go to some talk shows, then it will not be efficient. So implementation, and we as Parliament, we have some new competencies after 2009 to supervise the implementation, to take care about what is happening. And then, of course, I would dream about, you know, SME chapters in free trade agreements. But then reality wakes me up. Oh, sorry, we just did 2 free trade agreements in 5 years, because we had Vietnam in 2019 and now we had New Zealand. And I think that New Zealand would be really not an easy destination for European SMEs. You know, down under. So that's a problem. Vietnam is not so close either, but Vietnam is near China. So all the SMEs who can go to China also can come to Vietnam. And then, of course, I would dream, and I will finish with this, I would dream of a Green Deal which would be a European Green Deal. Because as it looks today, we have a huge problem, and that's a problem for SMEs, it's a problem for the whole society. It's the problem for people who drive electric vehicles. It's a problem for people who heat their houses and who use green energy for their small businesses and everything. For the moment, it looks like our Green Deal will be a Chinese Green Deal. Because what is happening now in China, and please ask people with knowledge of China, frightening overcapacities are building up today in which sectors? In wind installations, in solar panels, in electric vehicles, and in batteries. So, one word, in our Green Deal. So, we are at the risk, as we speak today, to have a Green Deal in Europe which will be a Chinese Green Deal. And all the subventions of the European Union and all the financial programs of member states will go to finance Chinese industry. So, but I have many more dreams, but I think time has gone out, so I stop here.
So let's be a little cautious, but we have a plan. Thank you very much for your contribution to that discussion. Anya, Ilio, Michelle, and Angelica, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much indeed. Fantastic. So we finish off on dreams and move towards actions. And the next panel we're going to have up on stage here is talking about from talk to action, ensuring Europe leads the way. And to take us through these important topics, we have Member of the European Parliament, Jürgen Warborn. We also have the Member of the European Parliament, Radan Kanev, in the corner here. We're also delighted to be joined by Member of the European Economic and Social Committee, Milena Angelova. And also the President of the Danish Entrepreneurs, Peter Kofler. And to moderate this session, we're delighted to be joined by the Senior Vice President of Social Impact, International Markets at MasterCard Center for Inclusive Growth, Payal Dalal.
Thank you very much. So we started the journey tonight really listening to some really brave, amazing entrepreneurs. We then transitioned into some of the challenges and the bumps in the road. And now we're all about solutions and maybe dreams as well. The title of this panel, it was Hot Seat, because what we really want to do is galvanize action, not only amongst those on the stage, but also in the audience as well, especially the small businesses in the audience. So we're going to start by setting the baseline. We've heard a lot about the challenges and the hurdles, but there is a lot going on to support entrepreneurs. Some of the initiatives, really, really exciting. Others, there are opportunities to improve, and there's certainly gaps in the ecosystem. So Peter, I want to start with you. If you could just help orient the audience in terms of what's out there, what's working, what's not, and what have we missed?
Okay, I'm going to solve it all now.
Excellent. No pressure.
I think that there's not a lot of things that is working, at least from a European perspective. We've got a competition of continents going on right now, and if we look towards the east and towards the west, we're getting squeezed, and we sort of like stick to the hope that have been the paradigm for Europe for a long time, that we can find the middle way, and once we get the regulation in place, we can sort of like beat them all. We've had a Danish commissioner for competition, so a lot of people in Denmark really believe that this is the right way. But we just see that critical skills doesn't want to work in European companies. The capital is flowing around Europe, and we have a severe problem now. And we've had the conversation throughout the day that we need some moonshot projects now for Europe. We cannot, I appreciate everything, and I've heard, you know, the Commission is doing this and that and this and whatever, and it will end up outside the Brussels bubble as maybe one less form I need to fill out. So we need to say, okay, let's make a European company so that, you know, you can have a legal entity, you can operate throughout 27 states. Let's have an SME commissioner in the next commission. Let's make a SME startup visa for the next. We need to be more ambitious with what we do, and let's say that we've heard a little bit about maybe in reporting we can pull back a little bit, but we need to say we need to deregulate. You know, we used to 20 years ago in our association, we need to say we told startups in order to scale, your first hire needs to be from Brazil, your second from India, the third one maybe Chinese. You need to, you know, build your capacities. Now we tell them your first hire is a compliance officer, second hire, compliance officer. And the third one probably too, and then you are out of money. So we really need to break this logic and make sure that our companies can thrive. And why? The big why here is maybe everything, everyone takes it for granted, or maybe we forgot about why is it important. We see that we are in a geopolitical race in order to have our self-determination in Europe, but we also have some really tough challenges to handle, whether it's our elderly people, our planet, what have you. We really need to unleash innovation, and we are really behind here. With the exception, I thought a little bit since our last conversation, I forgot about Spotify. But Europe have not really proven anything yet in the global scene. So that is what keeps me awake at night, and I think that it's a serious concern that we should mobilize much more ammunition, so to speak, from the policymakers, and maybe cut down a little bit on all those. I mean, none of the entrepreneurs can figure out what are the different funds, what are the different advice I can get from some kind of public servant on how to run a business. I think maybe we have a lot of those programs, but let's try to remove friction and do few things right and ambitious. I think this is what we need.
Thank you, Peter. That's a real call to action in the sense that there's a lot happening, but it's not good enough. And it's helpful to know that where your nightmares are, so we know where to dream. So, Jorgen, I want to come to you because policy is so incredibly important to the reality of a small business. Can you talk me through some of the policies that you're optimistic about, and some of the policies that you really think are going to teach us what we need to know to help small businesses in Europe?
Well, first of all, I totally agree. I think Europe has dropped the ball. We missed out totally on competitiveness. This is shown in growth numbers very clearly. We are outcompeted by most major economies around the world. And this makes us poor. We have fantastic SMEs in Europe, we have to say that. So it is a lot of individuals doing great stuff despite the policies that we create in Europe. But this is, of course, changeable. It depends on the policies that we adopt here in the European Parliament and in the member states. And we've heard a long list of things that we have to work with. I think one of the issues that affect SMEs the most is the regulatory burden, because it affects everyone and it hurts the most for the smallest. So if we can turn around the situation when it comes to the regulatory burden, I would say that is the top priority. I think it is good in a sense that the Commission sees the problem, because I think they do. First time I met Ursula von der Leyen was actually when she was not president of the Commission, but she wanted to become. So she came to our political group and, well, she went to all the political group, I think, and argued for her case. And the first question I asked her was, what will you do about the regulatory burden? And directly she said, one in, one out. And you know, one in, one out is the principle that for all the cost that a new legislation increases, the Commission promised themselves to reduce the same amount of cost in another piece of legislation. And I think that is very good. It's not enough, because it means status quo. And we have a debt of creating regulatory burden for decades. But it is in a sense good that the Commission acknowledge that regulatory burden creates a situation where European businesses, and not least SMEs, are less competitive than others. So that is a good point. Then it took a long time because before they actually from the Commission started to work with the principle of one in, one out. And now we might see a bit of evidence in the right direction. But I will mention a sign of warning, because the research service at the Parliament, they recently came out with a report saying that the one in, one out principle is not really good for our better regulation. And to me, this is totally rubbish and crazy, because apparently in our better regulations agreement, it says that the better regulation, there should be no indication of growth in Europe. So we make better regulation of, I don't know why, but it's not growth. Meaning that now lots of people in the Parliament that do not like the one in, one out principle has ammunition to kill it. And we, the Friends, because I think all of us here, we are probably on the same side of this. We have to make sure that it stays, and not only that it stays. Because as I said, one in, one out means the same. We also have to fight to decrease the regulatory burden, and the suggestion from the EPP group is by 30%. One in, three out. And that has to be done, not only on a European level, because that is something that has to be done in member states as well. If we do that, 30% on European level, 30% on a member state level, and probably 30% on a local level as well, then we have changed the regulatory system for SMEs, and we can start create competitiveness.
Thank you, Jorgen. It's a very powerful call to action. One in, one out. I'm feeling a little bit of a hashtag going on, so feel free to put it on your socials. Rodhan, I want to come to you. You know, we've talked a lot about policies enabler. What are you optimistic about when it comes to policy making and making sure that regulation works for small businesses as opposed to small businesses working for regulation?
That's a very difficult question, because we have not many reasons to feel really optimistic, but I really don't like to get in a somber mood or to look too tired of saving small and medium enterprises for the last 20 years of my active political career, because I'm sure that you as small and medium enterprises are much more tired from talking heads like me saving you these 20 years. During which, unfortunately, a great number of small and medium enterprises were not saved. Effectively, they ended their business either in Europe or generally. And we see a continent where most creative, well-educated, brave, and active people prefer to get hired than to hire people. And this is a very, very negative prospect. But yes, let's, however, be optimistic. I share Jorgen's feeling that lately there is a new mood in the Parliament, hopefully also in the Commission. I'm a bit tired today, maybe I look like this as well, but we had till 3 o'clock yesterday, or this morning effectively, the trilogues on the Industrial Emissions Directive. And I must say that we concluded a deal which shows a level of understanding we didn't have 1 year ago when we started negotiations, also from the other political groups, not only in the center-right. And we concluded a deal with a number of good points in it. Some of them very important for small and medium enterprises. For example, that we upheld Parliament position that the new environmental performance limit values, so water efficiency, energy efficiency, waste, reuse of materials, and so on, will be strictly indicative for all emerging techniques, which is of great interest for the dynamic small and medium enterprises. So a good sign. And where was the bad sign, and where is the big opportunity? Here I will once again agree with Jürgen, but I will reiterate something he said. I think we are much too focused on Brussels. If you look at Brussels legislation, European legislation, we will see that at least on paper it always pays attention for some kind of easing the life of small and medium enterprises. Maybe sometimes only in the recitals, yes, not really in the articles. But then we go back home, and I have, I must say, an awful experience with my home country, but I don't think it's an isolated case. And what happens there with the notorious one-stop shops that we already mentioned. Normally, for kind of small business, you go through 7 or 8 administrative offices to only start your activities, and then a one-stop shop is introduced. And what happens is you go to the same 7 or 8 offices, and you think you're ready, and then they say, oh no, now you need to go to the one-stop shop because you're not finished yet. there is a new place. And coming back to Industrial Emissions Directive, I was speaking with the mining community in Bulgaria. Okay, it's not really very small and medium. It's much of a large business, but if such a strategic business faces such difficulties, then what about small businesses that are not privileged to be strategic for the country? And we're speaking once again of integrated permits and, let's say, chance or threat for them to go into IED scope and integrated permits. And they all said, you know, we would be theoretically extremely happy to be under IED because we want the integrated permit, because otherwise we have 10, 12 permits. But what we're afraid, or almost certain will happen, is that we'll have the 10 up to 12 permits, and then we'll need to go for the integrated permit. Same thing as the one-stop shop. So I think, just to put it short, to end here, one thing we need direly, and we definitely not have, is an instrument for the implementation of, let's say, the SME relief package into the member states. Because otherwise, it will be a very specific relief. Everything will go business as usual, and then they will say, due to the SME relief package, you need to fill this form here to be a bit more relieved at the end of the day. And that should not happen, really.
I think it's such an important point, creating a feedback loop from regulation to small business, and small businesses coming back to policymakers to say this is working, this isn't working, and this is what needs to iterate. Elena, I want to come to you and pull on one of the threads from Peter's nightmare around innovation, and also pull on something that Radan said around reporting. Right now we're talking about the current reality of European small businesses, but the truth is that reality is changing very, very quickly. This is the first event I've been to where generative AI hasn't been the first thing out of somebody's mouth, but generative AI is coming, ESG regulation is coming. What do we need to do to future-proof European small businesses in addition to tackling today's problems?
Payal, it's $1 million question. So thank you for asking, but I will start a little bit backwards. I agree with you absolutely that the European way of life, our lifestyle and our market social economy must be based on a sound economic foundation. This sound economic foundation comes from SMEs. Let's not be thinking that it's otherwise. And I'm afraid that the SMEs are really up to the limit to absorb regulatory shocks together with macroeconomic and geopolitical shocks. Because what's going on now is that they try to keep the pace with all the geopolitical challenges. Now they try to learn that the value chains should not be any more economically viable, but they should be sustainable and geopolitically correct. And then on top of everything, they have to cope with the skills shortages and human resources shortages all over. So, and then it comes the reporting, sustainability reporting. First, they should do something to report on that. But all over Brussels bubble, we only speak about reporting. We don't speak about action. And the action should really, I'm in the details, I'm a devil in the detail. So I think that the action should be taken into all 12 standards that are based on CSRD. And this actually is everything for the company. They should be energy efficient, water efficient, kind to the human resources, take care of everything, do that and then report it properly, but they don't know how to report it because we don't have we don't have the guidelines that were due to be published earlier in the autumn. And on top of everything, the European legislator invented a new principle, materiality principle. That means you have 1,100 points, information points in these 12 standards, but you don't know what exactly you report because being a part of value chain, the value chain leaders should say which is material for them, and then the SME have to report what's material for the value chain leader. Imagine a successful SME being in 3 or 4 value chains. This is the goal. And then the leaders pick up different things, and then the SME should report 4 times for the 4 different leaders. And I've been advocating for this since January, and I thank everyone who supported me to this. And the answer I receive is, okay, we will be learning by doing this, we'll find a way, somehow we manage, but I really don't know how, because when I face one of my 10,000 SME members and they ask me, why do you do this to us? I don't have an answer. And the only thing that we can do to help them is first to adopt and to stick to voluntary SME standard that should set the absolute limit that can be requested from the SMEs. And second, to ask the Commission as soon as possible to create a very simple online tool for reporting, make available online and free of charge for the SMEs. And third, predictability. This one in, one out will not solve our problem indeed. The problem will be solved only if we make legislation fit for purpose and have competitiveness check whenever the legislation is done. Is it eroding our competitiveness or not? This is for me the benchmark. So I stop here because I don't want to leave on a negative note, but I really trust on the SME capability to adapt, to strive, and to contribute most importantly to SDG 8 and 9. So let's stick to their core business to develop the economy and then, of course, be responsible. Thank you.
Thank you, Milena. So we are fastly approaching our 0 on the counter. So we're going to end with hopefully more of an optimistic note, but certainly a more active note. Peter, I want to start with you very quickly. Can you commit to something? Can you promise us something? Or can you ask somebody for something?
My optimism is that Europe can lead the business part of the green transition. I still believe that the green transition is a bigger business opportunity than we've ever seen before. We've seen, with the internet, it's maybe, how we communicate and how we buy our stuff. With the green transition, it's about, how we dress, what we eat, how we transport, how we build. It's everything that human species learned for maybe 200,000 years we have to change. So that's like a very, very big business opportunity. It might be one of the few areas where Europe is still leading, but a lot of areas have been caught up. So I think that, and it would be unbearable to see that now we lost with the tech giants, just maybe also the payment giants. It would be unbearable to see that the next green giants would come from China and the US.
So a collective call to ensure Europe leads the way on a just transition and creating the business case. Jorgen, what is your call to action or your commitment?
So we have a problem with competitiveness and we can solve it. But I think we solve it through SMEs, because the growth comes from SMEs. And that means that we have to change totally how we do legislation in the European Union. We say, or the Commission says, they have the principle of think small first. But I like to see the evidence. In the previous debate or panel, you spoke about free trade agreements, and they are great. They are facilitating for businesses to trade with each other. And the problem is, out of the 22.6 million SMEs, only 600,000 is trading to third markets. So, in other terms, the potential is 22 millions. Still, we have SME chapters in the free trade agreements, meaning that we are not thinking small first. So I think we should change it. So we should have chapters for the multinational corporations, and the entire package of the free trade agreements should be for SMEs. So really change the mindset. That's what we need.
Think small, dream big. Radhan, what is your call to action or your commitment?
I would just reiterate what I already said, and it is let's make it more beneficial, let's make it more interesting, let's make it more profitable to hire than to be hired. For those people who have the capacity to do it. And this is the majority of people in Europe, I really believe. And the other thing, which is older than life, certainly older than us here, and extremely simple, and we forgot, is business of business is business. Not reporting, not filing documents, it's business.
Wonderful, wonderful. Milena, I'd like to give you the last word. What is your commitment or your call to action? What do you want to leave us with?
Thank you. I will quote the President von der Leyen saying, let's make Europe attractive for doing business. I would like to see this happens, and I would like to charge the Commission to deliver on that promise swiftly and immediately. So this will be my wish.
Thank
Christmas
you very
wish.
much. Please join me in thanking our esteemed panelists for a really stimulating debate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, panel. Thank Pyle for that. Fantastic. In the last 10 minutes, we've got the opportunity for you to have your say. Anything that you've heard before, any of the issues, topic, or themes. Horst has the microphone. He can reach you wherever you are, so you can actually raise your points. It can be questions, it can be statements, your own thoughts, ideas, or dreams, as we heard before.
Say only your name and your organization or company you're representing.
Good evening, everybody. My company is 1901. Is in charge. Sorry, is 1901 is in charge of designing and producing aircraft, aerial firefighting aircraft. We have been working to this since 2011, and I believe I listened to everything tonight, and I agree with most of the points you raised. But access to finance, yes, is a problem. But I believe, and I talk from my own experience, our company has a need of 800 million investment. Unfortunately, we didn't got the first order from Europe. Despite being a European company, we got 50 aircraft from outside the Europe. Why? Two things that I think we should change. Number one, we consider that if the big industry cannot make it, the small business cannot either, which is not true. As SME, we are faster. We are faster in thinking, faster in achieving goal. We are not afraid of taking risk. Number two, if you give to a company help, so you give, let's say, 500,000. Now Europe give to all the business 500,000 euro. Do you think you really help the business moving forward? The problem of access to finance is just that you need to de-risk the company in the eyes of the investor. So rather than give 500,000 as one-off, or eventually just as a grant, more likely to say Europe is behind this SME is much more powerful to the investment world. Understand that many things, such as regulatory, but I mean, guys, we are used to. Things change all the time, so we are used to deal with that. It's not, I think, the best priority. The biggest priority is probably just access to finance, because then we can hire people. Then we can have our, compliance officer we were talking before, and many other things. But I think we should facilitate this relationship with the investor. Because the problem we have as SME is, okay, I put 100 million in your company, it's risky, extremely risky. How can we de-risk? So I believe, and I may be wrong, the most important things is to say Europe is behind. And I think it's easier than all the things we could possibly do. Thank you.
Many thanks. Horst, do we have time for one more, maybe?
Yes, we have 10 minutes. So
yeah.
Be not shy, but be so that everybody has the chance to speak. First you, then you. Huh? Name and organization.
Yes, hello, my name is Lisa. I'm from Denmark. I have a tech company called Goodiepack. We are in the event industry. My thing here today, there's a lot of things I would like to discuss, but my wish would be, in a lot of industries, we have the whistleblower thing. Maybe we could do something similar, but just do where SMEs and smaller companies, bigger companies too, could give feedback to all the regulations if some of the regulations are against each other. I have a tech company, just as an example. There's one rule saying, okay, we need to delete all data. Of course, that's fine, that people can ask to get that data deleted. There's another rule saying that we need to save and have backups when we do stuff. And there's another rule saying that that when we when people buy something, we need to save the receipts for 5 years. But that rule said I had to delete them. So all of these things, we are sitting and we have to figure out ourselves, because there's no really place to go. And a lawyer will tell us, you just need to follow the rules. Yeah, but the two rules are against each other. So what do we do? So could you maybe please do some kind of an ordering or like a place where we can go and solve these problems? Thank you.
I think first you coming to SME Connect, and then we can help, because we have not the knowledge, but we know who has the knowledge, and we can connect you. Here was also...
Thank you so much. Yeah. Hello everyone, I'm Roberto. It's a huge pleasure to be here. I'm sorry for my English level. I'm from Spain, and I'm going to try. I'm going to be very quick. My business company is Timpers. We are a sneaker brand which was born in Spain, in Valencia. And we make special and very, very huge quality sneakers. But what makes so special is that the whole team in our company has a disability. I have a kidney transplantation. My teammate, Aitor, who is here, is fibrotic. And the third co-founder is blind. And we try to demonstrate that a company with these characteristics and these values can be successful and can demonstrate that can grow like the competitors and the players which are making also sneakers. I want to talk about financial because at the beginning of the company, I set up the company 4 years ago, and you are only focused on how you are going to make more conversion, how you are going to improve your returning rate, customer rates. You are looking for collaboration. We are looking for how increase your revenue on Black Friday, of course. We are now in Black Friday, so we are right now looking for more revenue. But it's quite difficult to find out, especially bank finance, because they are looking always for huge profits at the beginning of the companies. in our case is really, really tough. We are very, very near from the break-even, so I hope in the next few years we are going to access to the bank finance. But I think that we have to change our mind and to different companies which are starting their own business and they are focused on the things I said before, and companies that are growing a lot. They are a lot of years in the market and they are looking for profits, even improving the team, and that's all. I don't know if it's understood, but thank you so much.
We have 4 minutes, so if anyone's got a specific question here, the lady here in the middle.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all. My name is Georgia, and I am the Vice President of Junior Enterprises Europe. So I am not an entrepreneur in the sense that I have a business, but I represent the greatest European network of students that try to foster entrepreneurship. So while at the European level, we are more in contact with great companies, at the local level, we work everywhere in Europe with small and medium enterprises. We help them grow. We give them suggestions. We help them find new solutions, disruptive solutions for their own businesses. So I think that could be helpful also for you to know about a network that sometimes is not well known. And if you would like to get to know more about us, feel free to reach out to us. So I'm here, and there are also some other people here that represent their national confederations. We are in 16 countries in Europe, and we are 35,000 students. So I'm sure that there's gonna be someone that will be happy to help you.
Excellent. I think we probably have time for
One last
one. Yeah.
Last. Here, please. Share the time. Be short and you can share it.
Okay, I try to be short. My name is Adam Bromby. Come from a company called Wool Power. We are a producer of warm wool undergarments. So if you have ever been cold, you're a potential customer of ours. We won a very nice prize here just a couple of hours ago. Well, the whole day we talked about access to finance. There are tremendously much grants for small, medium enterprises. I mean, if you have a female owner, or if you're in Northern Europe, or if you are whatever, there are grants. We get a lot of grants, but I would rather keep the money that we earn. Why don't we? I mean, if we are a little bit successful, we get a profit. But what happened with that profit? Can I keep it? Can I invest it? No. You tear it apart and you take away 20%. It goes somewhere, and all of a sudden, it comes back. And I can get the same amount as a grant. But then so many people have to go to my company and say, well, do you do this? Do you do that? No, yes, you may have that money. Why can't I just keep the money that I am earning at the first place? Because that 20% of that 20 cents out of every euro, I mean, it's not going to get 20 cents because it's only get 10 when it get back, because everything loses at the moment. Well, sorry, I had to be short. I forgot that.
Thank you so much. Please.
Okay, I will try also to be short. So here we discussed, Svetlana from Business Europe is the Confederation of European Industries. And I wanted to just say something just to link our discussion now with the upcoming European elections. And since we discussed a lot about hearing the voice of smaller and medium companies, and also making sure that Europe is competitive, where we have working democracy that is hearing everybody. That means we have good business, where business is run by a few people who pick winners and losers. This is not democracy. So when Europe tries to now go for a vote, we have to vote for the ones who will enable the exactly the European economy to thrive.
Thank you so much. And now we're coming to the closing remarks. And this will be by Tobias Gotte and Dr. Paul Rübig. Tobias, please, you are the first. And yeah, and because I praised Bavaria so much, now you're coming up with all solutions at once.
Okay, thank you, Heinz. So many words, so many inspiring ideas. I've started short, I'll close short. Just one little step into deep Bavarian philosophy. The most important sentence in Bavaria regarding Liberalitas Bavaria is Leben und Leben lassen, live and let live. And I think this is one thing I've heard from all the persons, the SMEs, the entrepreneurs. Please let us live, let us work. And that's the most important thing we can hear today. And my pledge to all parliamentarians, no matter which parliament, regional parliament, national parliament, European parliament, please have the courage to do nothing. Sometimes it's better to do nothing than to have new and more regulations. And let me tell you also, the best impact assessment. I've heard today a lot about impact assessment, new ways of impact assessment. Let me tell you the best, and you all know this, the best impact assessment is just to leave this bubble, the European bubble, but also the parliamentarian bubble, to go out, to talk to the people who do the work, to see what they do, and to listen to them, and then to follow their words. That's what we need to do as parliamentarians. And now really the last sentence, quoting one of the most inspiring Bavarians, Ludwig Erhard. You all know him. And he said one of his core sentences was freedom and responsibility. Much more, freedom in responsibility. And what I say to you is, I trust in the SMEs in Europe. You are able to have freedom in responsibility. Go for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now Dr. Paul Rübig.
First of all, thank you all so much as president of SME Connect and also as founder of SME Europe and the SME Intergroup. It's 30 years of work for this mentality, entrepreneurship. And I think it's very important to communicate. And I was more than 20 years member of European Parliament. And in this time I learned, if you speak with a journalist, he always wants to write his own opinion. So they don't really listen to you because they know how the world is running and they want to push it to their people. So the journalists are more or less the better politicians, because you read it every day what the best world would be. So I changed now, and you have seen me always walking around. Communication. I think communication is what we have to do much better and more personalized. So using the social media gives us a wonderful platform to communicate. So use the hashtag, tag people. So we had now a big debate influencing in the European Parliament. Yes, you have to make a tweet, you have to write the name of the people who are in the trilogue, and you have to tell them what you want to have. And if they appear with 30 people writing them, they get afraid, yes, because you tell them, I don't vote for you if you make this. And fear works. And I learned it as a politician. And that's the press clippings which you get every day as a politician. And now they are sitting in the plenary and looking who is writing about me. Only about me. That's the only interesting thing. So use your power which you have and tell the people, like you said it, totally okay, whistleblowing, use your power as a whistleblower. And I think the politicians need much more confrontation. And that's what we do. SMEs, entrepreneurial thinking. thank you so much for all what you have done. Horst Heitz and the whole team. I'm proud that this SME movement gets on and that we produce success. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, you have to be concentrated 20 seconds and then you have drinks and food. So it's the last 20 seconds. We have organized a conversation corner here to the right of you, to the left of me. There you will find the conservation corner hosted by Mastercard Strive. Learn more about this fantastic program. You can ask them the questions, what's about, how you can participate, and so on. Be not shy, ask everything. Then we have a conversation corners hosted by the European members of the European Parliament. So, if you're a member, you want to speak Engineer Uglu, you are here today and you want to speak with people, please go to the corner and be open. And also all the others, Jürgen Warborn, be open, meet your SMEs. And we have also experts there. We have Vincenzo Basi will be there, President of the Federation of Catholic Family Association. Talk with him about working balance in the SMEs. Or Marcin Nowacki, President of the European Enterprise Alliance. Then we will have Michael Jäger, President of Taxpayers Association of Europe. We heard already. Don't put it from one pocket into the other pocket. So he will fight for you. We have Hans Hofnagel there, our special advisor for digital innovation from SME Connect. If you want to know something about virtual reality and AI, he is your man. Then we have Mauro Masson, SME Connect Italia there. He gives you everything what is about grants and what is going on in South. Go to him and ask him. We have Annie McCallum there, Executive Director of Pantani Education, taking part of Entrecomp. She is about education and entrepreneur spirit. Ask her about her program. And then we have Yasmin Leata, Chairman of the SMK Working Group One-Person Companies. She is building up the network for independent freelancers and one-person companies. Join this network, raise the voice. Because one-person companies cannot come often here because they have to work. And thank you so much again to Strive. They made it possible that so many SMEs can be here today. Thank you so much.